On today's episode of The Uptake, you'll hear all about how to get certified, what it means, and how it boosts your proven experience to your organization and peers because you've earned it. Welcome to The Uptake with Anna Chu. This is a new show about all things tech and community. This episode is brought to you by AvePoint. Over 16,000 customers and 7 million cloud users worldwide trust AvePoint to migrate, manage, and protect their cloud, on-premises, and hybrid environments. AvePoint is a cloud-based platform that helps customers extend their capability and how they can manage and govern Office 365, accelerating your digital transformation success. Welcome to The Uptake. This is a new show about all things tech and community. I'm your host, Anna Chu. I'll introduce you to people all over the world as we follow the path of Microsoft Ignite the Tour, traveling from city to city around the globe. We will cover topics in the world of tech, as well as uncover personal journeys of professional learning, development, and community building. If you're wondering what is community, for me, community is the family you choose. But I want to hear what you think. In this show, we're going to discover and figure this out together. In my day job, my team runs the Microsoft Tech community. I lead all things community for Microsoft Ignite and Microsoft Ignite the Tour, but I want to do this podcast to help connect you with people in the community. If you've ever helped someone with a question, learned something new, or shared something you've discovered in tech, guess what? You're part of a community. My hope is that through The Uptake, you will meet cool people in the community of tech, hear their stories, and get inspired to be part of a vast and expanding community in your area and beyond. Our first stop is in London, UK. I'm excited to introduce my first co-host of The Uptake, Simon Denton. Simon is a Microsoft MVP, and he's been involved in the tech community for a long time, and he's had a fascinating career journey that I'm certain you'll agree is impressive and inspiring. He's joining us from Birmingham in the UK, and Simon, welcome to The Uptake.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me. It's quite an honor and privilege to be the first one, part of your podcast series. So, yeah. I am Simon Denton. I'm the Productivity Applications Architect at Mott MacDonald. And Mott MacDonald are a global engineering company, and that's where my background is. 6 years ago, I was trying to put a tunnel underneath a railway line, and things change in life, and I found myself working within IT. And over the last 6 years, through the power of the tech community and the power of community in general, I've been on this momentous learning curve. And I found myself after a few years as an MVP, and then just getting completely stuck in helping the community and delivering things all across the world.
So that's quite a shift from going to civil engineering into IT. What skills do you think were transferable from that path of your life into IT? Yeah,
sure. So I think actually a whole host of the skills are transferable. I mean, when we're on a construction site, we talk, we would gather around a drawing in the morning and go, right, okay, how are we going to get this thing built today? What's in our way? What do we need? What's our objective for the day? Now in IT, we call that stand-ups, right? And agile,
yeah.
And, it's a complex thing. So actually it's not. The skills like understanding how to hold a complex problem visually that you can't, something is intangible, you can't touch, is something that it transcends IT into engineering and other disciplines. So it's actually not as complex to move the shift. There's no real mystique around IT, right? It's just you can't actually touch a lot of stuff. Okay, there's some bare metal that you might be able to touch and some flashing lights and wires from time to time, but actually you're dealing with the virtual, the abstract, and bringing those problems all together.
Yeah. So when you had to tell people that you were now an architect and an evangelist, I mean, the word architect is kind of like has two meanings in the IT world as well as civil engineering. So how do you now define your role in IT?
I define my role really as the chief cajoler.
Cajoler.
Getting people to do things. I mean, project management in whatever discipline is always there, right? You've got to cajole, you've got to beg, borrow, steal, and get things made and get things built. So when I described myself, hey, I'm now in IT, the first thing I got the inevitable was, can you fix my computer then? Right? Yeah, classic fix, turn it off and on again. Usually works, no problem at all. And that was my default answer for about 6 weeks. But yeah, it's that move across into IT has brought different titles like architect in the dare I say the virtual world. Yes, you create these statement pieces that you create. Also, you create functional objects, and you draw, you create, and it's quite a creative space. Whereas architecture and IT is predominantly no different. It's very creative. You have to use your imagination, how you put things together, and explain what's happening and how you're doing it. So there's actually, once I started explaining to people, there's hardly any difference. Yes, there's some technical stuff, and I know there'll be about 1 million enterprise architects now hitting the comments going, actually, no, this bollards. I've got my TOGAF certification. I've done all that. I can do my UML diagrams and all that, but actually the important bit is you can hold that virtual problem, you can communicate that problem, and you can see the solution and take a holistic overview. And that's really what architecture in both spaces is all about.
Gotcha. Well, I'm very excited to bring our guest for the Uptake, our first guest for this podcast. What I'd love to introduce our community guest today is Chris Hoard. So Chris, welcome to the Uptake. I would love to learn a little bit about you. I discovered you first in the Microsoft tech community, and as a result, you became an MVP. So I'd love to hear about that path. So help our listeners understand a little bit about you.
Well, my name's Chris Hoard. I'm the partner education manager at Vusion. I first got started in the tech community through kind of coming across it one day when I was searching for the answer to a question I had for a customer, and I was looking through all of the answers on Tech Community, and then just found that I knew the answers to a lot of the questions that were on there. I thought that I would have a go at it myself, and then kind of took that step and started answering them on a daily basis. I've worked in cloud for the last 12 years. I've engaged a lot with Office 365 and Microsoft 365, the applications within that, such as SharePoint and Teams and OneDrive. And for me, at least to begin with, it was all initially about problem solving, getting the solutions for the customers. And I found a whole lot more. I found a whole community around the world. It was just a very exciting thing to be a part of. And to be fair, it has been very addictive. And I don't think a day goes by without hopping onto the tech community to answer a question, to help somebody with a particular problem.
Yeah, and you recently blogged on the tech community too. One of your recent blog posts, you mentioned that you don't think that there is a better time to be a learner. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm an actual Microsoft Certified Trainer, or MCT. I've been one for the last 2 years. Before I actually worked in cloud computing, I was actually a secondary school teacher, not even in the IT field. I taught geography to 11 to 16-year-olds here in the UK. So my career has kind of gone full circle. I started off doing deployments of Exchange and into Office 365. I then done a lot of customization work and professional services. And then it got to a point where I wanted to kind of give back, and I'd missed teaching. So I became a Microsoft Certified Trainer. Is something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, and why do you feel that, getting a certification today is more important than ever?
Well, first of all, Microsoft have changed their certifications to go from being product-based certifications to being role-based certifications. So it makes a lot of sense for the roles that we're now doing. Just take, for example, a Microsoft 365 Security Administrator. It fits the role for what we're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. So Microsoft, I think, have made a great effort for these certifications to become more in line with what it is that we actually do. But it also gives people a lot more choice. They can be like, for example, a security administrator or a teamwork administrator or an enterprise administrator. So it can also map out the paths that it is that they want to take. I think that they're very valuable.
Yeah, awesome. And I think you and Simon have that in common in the fact that you both didn't traditionally come from IT backgrounds. So, Simon, like, do you find that there's something in what Chris is saying that really resonates with you?
Yeah, there is. I was on a similar journey, got into the tech community to start with. I learned through other people's questions, and I learned through then contributing to other people's questions. But one thing I noticed was just the absolute blistering rate of change that people and the technology was going through. And when people talk about certification, I wonder, Chris, whether you think that actually certification can keep pace with the rate of change, or whether there's a way that we need to start thinking about teaching administrators or getting people certified, or just teaching consumers of technology in a different way so we can adapt to this rate of change.
I think that's a really fascinating question. I did a talk recently at Ignite called 9.5 Years Without Certification, because for a large part of my career, I didn't get certified whatsoever. I had no certifications. I just did the job hands-on. And that came at a cost. I had a boss at the time, and I always used to get introduced to partners of ours as the guy who drove the car but wasn't certified to be able to drive. So there was this question mark over my authenticity of my technical background. In addition, if the business that I worked for was suddenly folded, then I would be out in the open market, and I probably wouldn't even get through a paper sift. So the kind of position where I've gone to over the years, because I went on a bit of a crusade of certification in order to backfill all those years where I didn't have anything, was I kind of come out somewhere in the middle. I kind of feel it's more a necessity to both be certified and to have the hands-on experience and have a blend of both. Because the way that I look at it, if I was to apply to Microsoft tomorrow, I would need the certifications to be able to get through the SIF, but then I'd also need to justify the hands-on experience. I think if you probe a little bit underneath that, any experienced technician would be able to tell within 5 minutes in a conversation about whether that person had actually done the job or whether they just got the certification in the first place. So for me, certification is a necessity to keep the opportunities open as much as experience. I often get dragged into a conversation about which one's the more valuable, but I happen to think it's a number of things like this which are both valuable. And today you have to have a mix of both to get on.
Yeah. One of the things that I found interesting, especially as I've been learning about Microsoft Ignite the Tour and Microsoft Ignite, a lot of our attendees really value the community for their practical insights, all that hands-on experience that you're referring to. But certifications also give everybody that extra edge. So would you have any advice, Chris, for people going into Microsoft events on, what they should do when thinking about seeking out community?
Well, one of the best bits of advice I could give is that Microsoft are giving away a free exam attempt if you attend Microsoft Ignite the Tour, as well as in addition to Ignite back in November. So it's a great opportunity for somebody to go to Ignite the Tour, sit down, to take an exam, and then see if they can gain one of their certifications. I mean, people often ask me, do I need to know a lot? And there's a wealth of information out there. You can take mock courses. You can leverage Microsoft Learn. There are, of course, a number of blogs that are around in each of the specific areas to be able to help prep for that. edX courses. There is just this whole plethora. And plus the hands-on experience through things like demos.microsoft.com or Azure passes or MSDN subscriptions. There has never been so much support in order to be able to do exams and certifications. So hopefully it'll give people the confidence to step up, go and sit an exam. The feeling that you get when you pass that exam and have your knowledge validated is absolutely immense. I mean, Pearson VUE done a study a couple of years ago to state that 65% of people that took exams, actually it improved their confidence, improved their self-image of themselves as a technician, and helped them in terms of their productivity within the workplace. So there's definite benefits of actually sitting down and taking an exam and getting that certification. It gives us a goal. It gives us something to strive for.
Yeah, that's true, Chris. And also, going to Ignite, either the tour or the conference itself gives you the opportunity to sit with experienced proctors who can at least help you through the process. Perhaps you don't even do the exam there, but at least you can work through the process. And there's one aspect I think we could probably all agree with, and I'll be interested to get your perspective for how it can be absolutely bewildering, the amount of choice you can have. And I guess going to an event at least helps you maybe focus upon it. And I just wonder, Chris, what your perspective on able people to get a laser focus and focus upon the things that matter to them, the subjects that matter to them, and then the certification that perhaps matters to them.
Yeah, of course. When I was lucky enough to work in the Learn area at Ignite this year, and I was on the Modern Workplace kiosk, and I have MCTs like myself that are on hand and ready to talk to give advice on certifications, on routes to be able to take for learning, on just to almost sit down and talk it out about what their thoughts are, because it's always great to have somebody to talk to, particularly when kind of progressing on your career, or as you say, if they're a little bit bewildered. Before I was an MCT myself, there are so many options. If you go to the Microsoft exam page, I think there's something like almost 150 exams with which to choose from. Which one's first? What's good for me? What are the skills that I'm bringing, and where is it that I want to go? So being able to go to somewhere like Ignite the Tour and actually see an MCT face to face, they would love to have that conversation, because we're also passionate about learning and helping people get to where they want to go.
Yeah, and I'm excited because Microsoft Learn's also coming to the tour across 30 cities around the world. So if you do want to learn more about certifications, then certainly register quickly. And we do, even though it is a free event, it does sell out, meaning we have hit maximum capacity that the venue can handle. And there are certainly some cities that are already at that level. So please make sure you join. We've got plenty of Microsoft experts there, plenty of people from the community too. And also, I think we've got plenty of our MVP community, even our regional directors, our RDs, coming to deliver content, breakouts, theatres. So yeah, there's plenty of great insights that the community can offer there too. Chris, are you planning to speak in London?
I'm not actually speaking in London. I will actually be there. I've actually applied to speak for both Berlin and Stockholm.
Wow.
I like the idea of going to another country and speaking, because raises the, to almost do it in another audience away from your home audience. But I shall certainly be at Ignite the Tour in London. I'm hoping, because my specialist area is Teams, to maybe, be floating around that area. If there's a Microsoft Learn area, I'll definitely be there too. It's not to be missed. I mean, the tour has just come around in the last couple of years, and it's so special. If you can't make it to the Orange County Convention Center in Florida, the Ignite the Tour is almost exactly the same as it is out there, with a lot of the same talks by a lot of the same speakers. So it's a really fantastic initiative by Microsoft. I went to the Berlin one last year and had a great time. I would recommend it to anyone.
So you'll be one of those traveling community people going from tour stop to tour stop.
Oh yeah, if I can, I'm trying to do that. So I think that they announce Berlin and Stockholm this week. So I'm very excited and anticipating hopefully a successful result.
Yeah, I did Stockholm last year. I presented there last year. It was just an absolutely amazing experience. Yeah, to present to communities outside your normal sphere, to engage with people, understand how people are using the technology in different languages and different locales. It's a really, really good experience. Yes, I'll be in London. I won't be speaking, but I'll be there. I'll wear an equally garish jumper, I could imagine. You'll be able to spot me and wandering around, and feel free. I guess with so many MVPs and RDs around and just on the floor, feel free just to stop one of us and ask us questions. We shouldn't be put up on this pedestal that we're something different, we're something special. We are just one of you. We are you, right? So just come and ask us questions. We're happy to help, happy to engage. And there's no fees or anything involved, no fear whatsoever. So just come and talk to us. That's how we learn.
I think that's one of the things that are super surprising about community is that people realize, oh, like you're just another human being who's also just had similar experiences or may have solved something that I'm currently struggling with. The fact that these are real human beings, real people, just makes this whole world seem a lot smaller, and that's why you're both really valuable members of the community, because you don't have massive egos. You are there to just give back because the community's given so much to you already.
I think that's right. I mean, for me, the most enjoyable thing at all is the feeling that you've helped someone, and the impact that you can have on them. With the Microsoft Tech community, that was the thing that got me started, the ability to be able to give somebody a solution, and it made their daily lives a little bit better. And it's not a hard thing to do, or to spend a couple of minutes of your day where you can have a real impact on people's lives. And that opened up the doors for me through the Microsoft Tech community, meeting people like Simon and other MVPs. They spend quite a substantial part of their day just helping, because they want to see everyone be successful. It's an intoxicating thing with the community.
Yeah,
that's very, and that's very true. I mean, if we tie this back to that Chris and I's background, like Chris's background is teaching, mine's engineering. We both were driven by pride motivators, right? I can walk past a building and touch it and say to my kids, Daddy made that, or Daddy had a hand in that. Chris, similarly from the teaching, people can read them, do their geography. I was going to be really flippant, but read a map and understand landforms and all these kinds of things through Chris's enthusiasm in the classroom and that understanding. They don't have to rely on their insert GPS name here to guide them where they need to go to, because they've learned some skills and they've learned the value of through geography and education and learning. So I think it really appeals to that inner motivator that I made that, I had a contribution to that, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Simon, and that really is what drives me in terms of that certifications. It's just this one aspect of helping people move forward, helping people build their careers to be more successful. That's why I think I'm a big advocate of the certifications that Microsoft have brought out over the last couple of years, because they're so much more relevant. They're coming in new areas, the kind of skills of both today and tomorrow, such as AI and big data, collaboration with teamwork for development. These are things that our children and children today are going to be doing. And tomorrow of their jobs is going to be the kind of the backbone of the future economy. So yeah, I totally agree with Simon on that point. We both like building things.
Yeah.
Building things, building people up. I mean, and there's been that seismic shift, right, in certification, where it's gone to be much more practical, right? That's the best kind of vehicle through which that we learn. We get things done. It appeals to many generations, and the kids of tomorrow are just learning today by creating Scratch or Minecraft or whatever it is through practical. And the fact is, you can then add a certificate at the end of it, and the certificate keeps pace with the way that technology changes. That's got to be a real positive.
Yeah, what's funny is I was actually, when I was 15, a Microsoft student professional. I think that program no longer exists, but Microsoft has been very invested in helping the next generation for a really long time. And that was a long time ago. I won't tell you how many years ago that was, but I can't believe that I was one of the very early days, a certified Microsoft student professional too. So it's really great to see that our commitment, or Microsoft's commitment to helping younger people learn, is really there. And I'm learning that a lot of people in the community are helping out with students too. So that's really great to see. But I know that we've talked a lot. I really want to thank our guests today. But before we do, I need to ask, Chris, are you a Marmite or a Vegemite person?
Well, I've gone beyond the boundaries of Marmite. I'm a fully signed up paid member of Vegemite. I
Yes!
practically eat it every other day. Um, People think, it gets posited in the UK as Marmite, love it or hate it. I mean, if anyone that doesn't know about Vegemite, this is like Marmite Nitro. It's a whole totally new level. I would advocate everyone to have it tomorrow. It's available in Tesco. It's available in the supermarkets here in the UK. Go buy it. You won't look back.
Available from all your major retailers, right? That's what we're saying. But yeah, it's. But question:
Absolutely.
Is it made from beer though? That's the important thing. The thing that appeals to Marmite, in the UK, is the fact that it's made from beer, right? It's a byproduct of brewing. That's where it comes from, and I guess Vegemite, is that from the same backdrop?
They're all yeast extracts at the end of the day, so I'm sure it's a byproduct of something.
They're not all yeast extracts. Not all yeast extracts are equal. I think we've got to remember that.
Well, we're going to have to exchange some toast with Vegemite or Marmite or even Bovril.
There's a challenge. Well, Bottl's more for drinking, maybe on the cold winter's nights than they are now, right? Yeah, I know. Yes.
For me, it was the sodium in the Vegemite. It's got that tang that you just cannot. I tell you what, once you taste it, Simon, you will not go back. I promise you. I make this promise. It's unreal.
All right, there's a taste test for either London, or if we both make it to Stockholm, we'll do something on stage, and we'll blind taste test this thing out.
This is Simon of Simple Honest Bacon too, right? So I think he likes he likes things pretty simple and basic in terms of his condiments.
No chocolate cake to bacon, or that's just wrong, plain wrong.
MS Bacon and Vegemite. That's one for Ignite next year, I think.
For sure. Well, thank you so much to you both. I really had a pleasure talking to you both today. Chris, awesome. You've had an amazing year. Really pleased to see how your career is progressing, and look forward to seeing what 2020 looks like for you. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Simon and I will talk about the upcoming stops on Microsoft Ignite the Tour and how you can find local community groups in your area and more. So don't go away. So Simon, it was awesome talking to our friend Chris Hoard. What were your key takeaways from that conversation with Chris?
Yeah, I agree, Anna. Chris has got an absolutely amazing background and just shows how easy it is to make a transition from one industry to another, and how skills are transferable. And my key takeaway from it is, I did have a slight question mark around the value of certification. I mean, I'm not certified myself. Some people may say I'm a bit certifiable, but the fact is that there is absolute power in certification, and there's absolute need for it, and there are different routes that you can take to get certified, and it all has value. And it's so great to learn that through the power of community and the power of certification, you can really move on as an IT pro and really find your way.
Yeah, for sure. And given that I had never met Chris before until, he started becoming a really prolific contributor in the Microsoft tech community, and you've seen our journey with the tech community too. It's been around for 4 years now. Can you believe it? But for those who haven't ever ventured to techcommunity.microsoft.com, what would your advice be for those who are new to it?
Yeah, sure. So my advice for those who are new to this, it can be potentially bewildering, right? You imagine every single Microsoft product is basically represented in one of the four corners of the tech community. Really, just pick something that you're interested in or a problem you're trying to solve, and focus in on that group or that community. And don't be afraid just to read along, just to follow along some things, or maybe just drop in a few likes here and there if you agree with some things. That's really a really good starting point, because otherwise it can become quite bewildering. And then start using your time. Say you've got some downtime in a commute, or you're waiting for a meeting, or you're trying to find you've got a bit of idle time. Really, that's great to look through the tech community, get engaged with that, pop some questions, and then start building that cycle up of the questions and the answers, and start putting your things out there from there.
Yeah, and one thing that I think people feel afraid to do when they go in the tech community is ask that question because they feel it might be a dumb question. I mean, I don't feel that there are dumb questions, but there are. If you did want to just check to see if the question already had been asked, then certainly just use the search function in there, and likely that you might be able to find that question already. Or if it hasn't been asked, then it's absolutely valid. There are no dumb questions on the tech community on that front.
I'm sorry, Anna. That's absolutely true, right? You're not going to get anyone jumping on you and saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have asked that," right? So yes, search is going to help. Search is going to help you, and it's going to point you to where things have been asked before. And that's a good tip. I think for any sort of community is to look. Has this question been asked before? And sometimes it hasn't been phrased in quite the way that you would phrase it, but actually, if you read it through, actually, it might actually resonate and be relevant to you. But there is absolutely no wrong question ever. And people should remember that. It's a community without fear. There's no one going to jump on you and say, "Oh, you shouldn't have asked that," or "It's over here." Just ask your question, feel confident, ask your question, and then check back and see where the answers are flowing in.
Yeah, it's remarkable how kind some people are on the tech community. There are lots of people who are from Microsoft who are there. There are people who are MVPs too, and they're more than happy to answer any questions. But tech community is not the only way that people can stay connected. There's also a whole bunch of different events that are happening around either your local area or even around the world. So, Simon, you've gone to probably a bunch of local events too. Can you tell us a little about what's happening in London or in Birmingham?
Yeah, sure. So in London or just throughout the UK, there's a whole series of events you'll probably find in most of our cities. If you go on to Meetup, you'll see lots of Meetup events in each area. I mean, where I am in Birmingham at the moment, there's Meetups around Dynamics and Office and SharePoint and all the different subjects. They all meet at different times and are on a regular cadence. So you can find out those things. We do have Ignite the Tour, which is quite a good sort of figurehead and placeholder, but there's other events, there's other independent events like the Evolve conference, which is slightly more focused around Teams communication, but it's broadened out into Office 365 or Microsoft 365 in general. That's hosted here in Birmingham as well. There's the Scottish events which are coming up, 3 days of those events around Dynamics and AI and the Power Platform. Those are all free to go events. You can find those on sources like Meetup or the tech community or the UK events listing, which the MVP community in the UK maintain. So you can actually find us as speakers on that as well, and you can find out where we're speaking next. So there's a whole host of events that you can go to. And just on going to events, they could be really, really daunting, right? Even the smaller scale events. So treat it like the tech community. There's actually there's no fear. Everyone wants to be there to learn the same thing and share and collaborate and gain knowledge from other people's experiences. So again, don't be afraid to go on your own, ask your questions, get stuck in. Feel free to jump up and help us present these things because there's so much we can learn too.
Yeah, that's really great advice, Simon. I really love the community interaction, which is why going to events is really a highlight for me during my year. But firstly, thank you, Simon, for co-hosting this episode of The Uptake with me. It's our inaugural episode. Loved having you on the show. If people wanted to find you online, how would they do that?
You can find me on all the usual platforms. I mean, Twitter, you'll find me at Billbod. LinkedIn, you can stalk me, Simon Denton, you'll soon find me. And tech community, again, I'm Simon Denton on there too, so you can find me, and Insta, you name it, I'll be there. Reach out to me, don't be afraid, I'm quite happy to chat.
Awesome. And if people want to find Chris, they can find him at Microsoft 365 Pro on Twitter. So thank you again, Simon, and I will talk with you soon.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
All right. Cheers. Bye. That wraps today's show. I'd like to thank my co-host Simon Denton for joining us in Birmingham and our guest Chris Hoard in London. I highly encourage you to visit the Microsoft Tech community to find events in your area, around the world, and even online. You can discover Microsoft learning paths, blogs, and event recaps. Go to techcommunity.microsoft.com. Join, learn, activate your mind. You will not be disappointed. If you'd like to reach out, share your favourite community story, or send us some swag to be featured on the desk at The Uptake, you can follow me on Twitter at _AChew. Please subscribe to the show and write a review. It really does help people find the show. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you enjoyed the show, share it with your friends, your colleagues, your community. Help us spread the word and the community love. Thank you to our sponsor, AvePoint. If you like this show, tune in to Shift Happens with Microsoft MVP and Regional Director Dux Raymond-Sai. Each week, modern workplace professionals share their stories and the hurdles about leading change at their organisation. The first season includes some of the biggest initiatives at the world's biggest brands, including United Airlines, H&M, Heathrow Airport, and more. Find Shift Happens wherever you get your podcasts. On behalf of the Microsoft Tech community, I'd like to thank you for spending time with us today. I'm Anna Chu. I'll see you next time.